please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court has started hearing a clutch of petitions that challenge Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, the provision that criminalizes unnatural sex between two consenting adults of the same gender. A quick background check. In 2009, the Delhi High Court, in a landmark judgment, had ruled that Section 377 was a violation of fundamental rights guaranteed under the Constitution. Various religious groups challenged the order at the apex court. Subsequently, in 2013, the Supreme Court overruled that Delhi High Court order and reinforced criminalization of homosexuality. This judgment by the apex court was criticized by the LGBTQ community in India and was seen as a setback for human rights. In January of 2018, the Supreme Court ruled and a larger bench of judges would reconsider the previous judgment and examine Section 377's constitutional validity. This brings us to today. Arguing for the petitioners, Mukul Rohatgi, the former Attorney General, highlighted that an individual's sexual orientation is innate and is not a matter of choice. Arvind Dattar, counsel for another petitioner, argued that Section 377 must be struck down unless the government can show compelling public interest. There was no clarification from the government on its stance just today. Well, joining us now to discuss the future is Ashok Rao Kavi, chairperson of the Humsafar Trust, Anand Grover of Nas Foundation, and our very own Ashmit Kumar, who has been, of course, tracking the developments in court. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us. Let me start by asking you, Ashok Rao Kavi, about what you made of the arguments that were made in the Supreme Court today. You know, we've seen arguments on the part of the petitioners concluding today, so it's gone fairly swiftly. What do you make of the arguments presented today, and a little bit of disappointment, the fact that the court is not going to go beyond the issue of decriminalizing homosexuality?
No, but I think they've cut through the thicket of all other arguments and have come straight to the point, you know, that the Justice Sanghvi had got stuck on. That is the validity of Section 377 and its constitutionality, which he said stood, reinstated, you know, after the Delhi High Court judgment had struck it down. So obviously they are attacking Justice Sanghvi's argument straight away. I don't think there's a disappointment there. I think they're going exactly for what he had tried to, you know, prise open and made it into an issue, which really it wasn't. We keep on saying that Section 377 is unconstitutional because it creates another type of citizen. A homosexual is not seen as the same way as another citizen of India and is not equal before the law because of his sexuality. And that is why I think what this bench is looking at is the constitutionality, the validity of Section 377. Does it stand against the constitutional rights that we have, the framework of human rights that are sort of outlined in the Constitution? And that's, I think, the best way to go about it. I do think that one judge, Indu Malhotra, for example, she is exploring the fact, this business of unnatural sex. She's asking questions which are very sensible. Do other species, other animals exhibit homosexuality? And if they do, which of course they do, there is a museum in Amsterdam called Diversity in Biology, or biodiversity as it is called, which shows that homosexuality exists in more than 200 species on this planet. So it's not an unnatural tendency, which a lot of the religious arguments keep on saying, and which Section 377 keeps on insisting. So I think the arguments today were very, very good and sound.
Okay, how confident do you feel, not just because of what happened in court today, but also on the back of the judgment that the Supreme Court delivered when it comes to the right of privacy?
I think that was the harbinger, you know, in the sense I saw a light at the end of the tunnel after I saw the judgment on privacy. That privacy included the right to your sexuality and your sexual orientation, the right to the autonomy of your body. And I think from there, I felt that there was a ray of hope now, because we were very, very scared of what the curative petition, that was the last chance. But the very fact that this argument is now being opened up to debate and again looked at, I'm talking of Section 377 and unnatural sex, if they are going to re-look at the whole thing, then I think it's a very good thing. I'm very, very happy that the January judgment on privacy opened up a whole new debate. You know, it made it very clear that we had to look at Section 377 from a totally different angle about the right to privacy, which was already there in the Delhi High Court judgment. An excellent definition of privacy was already given by Arvind Shah, Justice Arvind Shah. So I don't think we're too far from the mark there, you know.
Right, so that was interestingly one of the arguments that had been forwarded by the former Attorney General, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, as well. Let me get Mr. Anand Grover also in on the conversation. Mr. Grover, as far as this journey forward, what the journey has been so far and the journey forward is concerned, speaking of the stakeholders, the government will be a key stakeholder. How disappointing was it, of course, taking cue from yesterday, where we had the government seeking a deferment? Today we have, again, no clarity from them. How much of a disappointment was this? And also the second issue being that the government stance, at least on one issue that they were very clear on, is that they're not prepared to have discussions in the court, in this case, for issues beyond Section 377. Your take on that, Mr. Grover?
No, you see, I think whether the government has an opinion or not, they are before the court, they have to take a stand, and they are not, they haven't said that they're not taking a stand on 377. They didn't want the matter to be beyond 377. But having said that, it's a bit shocking that the government has not come out with a clear view on 377, whereas earlier the government, and you should not actually bring party politics into this, because the government in the court is the government which was there when the cautious judgment was given. The government's stand was they supported the Nas Foundation judgment. They, in fact, filed a review against the cautious judgment. But I want to come back to the earlier point, I think, which Shireen made. I think it's Shireen, but I'm not, I can hear her voice, but I'm...
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It is, Mr. Grover.
Your voice is quite distinct, so thank you. Shireen, I agree with Ashok. I think the point is that what is beyond a particular, beyond the 377, it is the notion of a pluralistic society which is embraced in the preamble of our Constitution, which was highlighted in the privacy judgment, that we are a fraternity of people, everybody is entitled to dignity, it's an inclusive society, and nobody can be treated as a marginalized person. Everybody is entitled to be included in all sectors of development, including sexuality. That is the point. And in that context, I think the judges have accepted it, but I'm a bit disappointed they're in a bit of a hurry. But the reason is, as Ashok said, that they are only demolishing caution, because caution has been 80% demolished in the privacy judgment. If they knock out caution, which they can now, technically they could not have done were it not for the privacy judgment, because under the Supreme Court procedure, you can't file a writ petition to challenge a judgment of the Supreme Court. But because the privacy judgment has been given, you can say that now the judgment is wrong. So that privacy judgment, coupled with other arguments on equality, etc., now the cautious judgment can be set aside on a fairly simple ground. And then once that's set aside, the judgment of the Nas Foundation of the Delhi High Court will be restored. So that is a shortcut in that sense. Is that clear?
Mr. Ashok, if I may also get you in on this conversation?
Yes, sir, it is. Thanks very much for that, Mr. Grover.
Thanks a lot for that, Mr. Grover. Mr. Ashok, I have to come back to the same point with the government being a key stakeholder here. There will be a deciding force as far as going forward and legislating on the issue of rights is concerned. And for that, I draw your attention to two quotations. One from the Finance Minister, Arun Jaitley, where he said in November 2015 that the Supreme Court 2013 verdict is not in accordance with evolving legal jurisprudence. And what's even more important is that in the same month, we had Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying that we need to amend and make new laws for transgenders. This was on the Foundation Day ceremony of Nalsa. Just a sense that, do you sense perhaps a change in the air in terms of the government firming up its position in favor of perhaps securing the rights of the LGBTQ community?
I am now trying to fly a kite, looking at the indications of what's happening. And the thing is that I think the political class is very divided on this question. When you talk to them privately, even the most conservative BJP MPs and MLAs have told me that the state has got no right to be in the bedroom. You know, in the sense they can't be looking into your private affairs. They know very well that Section 377 allows you to get into your bedroom and arrest you without bail, without a warrant and that sort of thing. And it has alarmed a lot of people for the simple reason, after the Delhi High Court judgment, scores of people, it could run in the lakhs, came out of the closet because they thought now they had nothing to fear. And then after the Justice Singhvi, the Supreme Court judgment that reinstated Section 377, there was alarm because the type of calls we started getting at Humsafar were not from gay men themselves, because they knew that gay men and gay women realized that there was no going back. One of the slogans after the Delhi High Court, the Supreme Court judgment was no going back. So they knew that they couldn't go back into the closet. But the relatives, the parents, the siblings, the work people, people from HR departments were phoning Humsafar to find out what happens now. What happens when an employee is blackmailed, extorted? What happens to my child? Can he be arrested any moment? You know, these are the questions coming on the helpline. So we knew very well, actually we have done, our petition is data heavy. It tells you what happened after Justice Singhvi reinstated Section 377. And it shows anxiety in society that, you know, that these laws that are sort of penal laws, punitive laws, really come in the way of equality laws, you know. And I want to say that I don't know whether to take that and this situation, but we can make out that there is turmoil in this society. Even the RSS is, I think, divided right down the middle. The younger people in the RSS are not at all in consonance with the older group, and they say openly, if you talk to them, that ये criminal नहीं होना चाहिए, हो सकता है कि ये gay pride नहीं होना चाहिए, ये नहीं होना चाहिए. I said, but we are not fighting for gay pride. We are talking about Section 377, and that is sex or any relations between two consenting adults in private. Even the British law is very clear. It is consenting sex between two adults in private. So, and the laws in England are very interesting. Public cruising or things like that has been very strictly come down upon. You know, the police are very strict about gay men cruising in say, parks and in public spaces. So, I mean, on one hand, you need to get out these anti-sodomy laws because they are against equality. And on the other hand, there is some policing of territory that is public, you know. I don't know whether I'm getting across.
Well, we'll just have to wait. You are, sir. You've made your point very clear and very eloquently articulated for the benefit of our viewers what the issue at hand is. But as Ashmit was pointing out, we don't know what stance the government will take in the Supreme Court. We will find out as the arguments proceed.
I'll tell you that. The government will be forced to take a stand. It will be cornered. It is being dragged by its neck into the Supreme Court by these excellent lawyers. And it is being asked to take a stand. It will have to. I have a feeling, I know what the strategy of the present government might be, but I'm not going to talk about it here.
Okay. All right, you won't talk about that. We'll just wait to see what the argument will be in court. Anand Grover and Ashok Rohatgi, always a pleasure. Appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV18. Thanks very much for your time. With that, it is time for us to take a break. There's a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere.